Hello, viewers. I'm SB, and welcome back to Last Call BBS here. It's been a minute. I did it. I did the Chip Wizard. I did not have a lot of fun with it. This one didn't land for me. I don't think it's a bad game, and like I've said before, like just looking at it, it doesn't necessarily feel to me like it's any less good. I can't identify a thing about it that is less good than other Zachtronics games. It just, I don't know, just didn't land for me. Anyway, I did it, and we got our memo stuff. Here's the bad news, the less good news. There's still one locked at the end, and I don't know. Maybe I got to do a bunch of because it's right after the Forbidden Path stuff, right? So maybe it's unlocked by doing some of the Forbidden Path bonuses. I guess we might have a look at that, but I have at the very least unlocked all the memo entries for the Chip Wizard, and let's see what our friend's little adventure in Chip Wizardry was like. So this one starts with Engineering Curious, I believe. I think we've read this before, but it's been a minute. I need a refresher, whether or not you do. So I told you I got started in sales at Sawayama and also spent some time in marketing. I did enjoy my work, but after a while I wanted to try out something new. I'd always been a tinkerer of sorts, and the idea of working on the engineering side was starting to appeal to me. Instead of only selling the machines, I could contribute to their design. Problem was, I really had no idea where to start. Luckily, during my time in Japan, I'd made another friend who worked in engineering at a small firm that was owned by Sawayama. His name was Daisuke Don Iwashiro. Don loved to explain things. He taught me a lot about integrated circuit design over beers late at night when we'd meet up after work. Sometimes at a bar, sometimes at his house where he had some equipment set up. Fun times. But it was tough to make progress, partly because the work was all theoretical. Pen and paper or in my head. I needed experience, but the design lab manager at Sawayama wasn't about to let in some foreigner who didn't know what he was doing to play around with their machines. So, what was a guy like me to do? That's when I got the hookup. A bunch of us had gone on a work trip to Hong Kong. While we were there, Don led me to a marketplace full of small stalls with vendors selling all kinds of electronic gadgets. And I thought maybe he was going to get some parts or something. But instead, he talked to a guy who handed him a thick paper catalog, as big as a phone book. He flipped to the C's and found Chip Wizard Professional Cracked. The guy in one stall nodded and yelled to another guy in the back, who made us a copy right there on a microdisc while we waited. This doesn't feel like the kind of thing you have to go all the way to Hong Kong for. I'll be honest, it felt pretty amazing to get a program that normally costs thousands of dollars handed to me on a disc for the equivalent of a couple bucks. Now, it's not like I cost the developer an actual sale. If the program hadn't been available to me this way, I never would have used it at all. Obviously, I wasn't using it to make designs I was going to sell or anything. I know this kind of stuff gets touchy, though. Anyway, that's what things were like back then. My understanding is that when everything went networked, most of these businesses shut down. So, where'd my engineering career go from there? Yeah, about that. All I'll say is, if you're reading this, you've gotten much farther than I ever did with the program. But I think it was important that I tried my hand at it and got to know what the folks in the design lab were doing all day. It gave me a real appreciation for that kind of work. Because of my personal experience trying to design chips, I realized it's not always about maximizing power. Sometimes a good design is truly artful, and I'm thankful I can see that now. And then from there it continues into the Steed Force Hobby Studio story, which is like very thematically appropriate, right? There's a good threading on these. So I was kind of hoping that this would be like a wrap-up, just telling us a little bit more about like his life since all of these things happened. But yeah, I'm definitely now more and more thinking that it's related to the bonus puzzles that were added to the end of Forbidden Path, maybe. So I guess we could take a crack at that. I did not have a tremendous amount of fun with Chip Wizard Professional. You know what I have had fun with? 115 now explored. Still, periodically, playing a little bit of Dungeons and Diagrams. I mean, I guess let's stick our head back in here and see what's what. Maybe we can solve enough of these to get a thing. Or, you know, maybe I'll end up doing some of it off camera and just like tacking it on to the end of this video. We'll see. Okay, so this is all that stuff. That stuff's all well and good. Look, we made a little friend to hang out with. I mean, we could just pop open each one of these, right? Okay, so this one we were trying and I couldn't get it. Oops. Control Z. Does that work here? Hell yeah. Okay. No, just back. Is that gonna close the whole thing? No. Okay, good. How about this? How about this person's puzzle? Make a bunch of gross red stuff. It's kind of like the whole vibe of this game, right? So this one is largely about like. This one is largely about careful use of like merge. And also, I guess, making sure that we don't reach too far. Because there's an unfuse command, isn't there? No, there totally isn't. There's a die command, which obviously will break fusion. But, okay. So, there's a couple of levels of... I mean, like... I'm assuming the reason we get a couple levels of advancement here is so that we can use the intermediary state to issue orders carefully to only some things. So we probably don't want to start by transitioning anything. Let's put this here, I guess. What exactly do we need to do? If I put it all the way down to the bottom, we do like a generally extend left command. And then at a slightly lower priority, an extend upward command. Okay, so it does form this corner shape correctly. And this part as well. But unfortunately, this thing extends upward before this one can extend left, which is problematic. I don't want to have to issue like 20 different commands just to get the thing to grow around, but I am worried that is maybe where we're going to end up. This is very weird. So I'm trying to envision here. Like, what does the shape look like before we run any merges? How do we get a shape that's going to be easy to turn into this? All right, let me just play around with this a little bit here. So, we don't want to do a general extend down because there'll be no way to break this, right? How do I make this only expand to the places I want to make it expand to? But no, there's not going to be a way to stop this thing from extending downward at some point, right? If we make our first instruction, our highest priority instruction, extend left, we actually do get this a moment before. I'm actually not 100% sure why this cell doesn't extend to the right prior to this cell extending down, because we have a moment here where I guess this one's not. But extend to the right is a higher priority instruction than extend down. Because this is almost right? Like we're pretty close here. The only problem is this bit. So, what if I move everything down here? No, I probably there's just no way. We would have to give this thing another order. It would have to have something else to do, right? I was kind of hoping like a seed with nothing below it becomes flesh order. I guess you'd have to put that higher up in the priority list, though. It would have to be above extend down, and that's going to cause like these seeds up here to transform instead. This might be a thing we could solve with positioning. What if we do this? We make seed extend upward the highest possible general priority. That's got us quite close as well. I need this thing to try to extend down before it tries to extend right. But if we mess with the order of right and down, then other things are going to break. Yeah, that makes things worse, not better. And then once we're here, it's not actually that hard to execute the merges we need, because everything that needs to merge is near metal. And so we can just make some specifications. Okay. What if instead of making it build in the correct way in the first place, we instead just solve the problem by causing a die-off and a reformation? Like, where exactly is it wrong right now? It's just this connection needs to stop existing, right? Is there a way that we can issue a die-off command that will only affect one of these two cells? No, I don't think so. Because we could do like a cells with metal above them transform into the first sort of lumpy flesh stage, and then cause a die out of cells that are to the right of that, but that's going to get this one as well. Yeah. Ugh, it's so close. Okay. What about... All right, let me experiment with this a little bit. If it's right here, we have a general up instruction, but not a general down instruction. We handle the downs more manually. Is it possible to... Because we get this shape correct. Yeah, I think the problem here I was hoping for was this would be up and then this would move left, but the problem is this still has a space to expand up while this thing has no other orders and so can expand left, and yeah, screws everything up. Trying to build out in all 4 directions simultaneously is just, it's going to be a huge problem, right? Is there a way that we can reprioritize this? How do we make this one go to the right without that one trying to go to the right? That's a real question. So obviously we can control this a little bit. We can try breaking the general left instruction. And then like seed with metal above it also extend left. Oh, see, we get this though. Yeah, see, we really want this one to extend left so that it buys a second for this to hit and then issue its own order. Yes, like this shape is right, but then we need this thing not to extend upward any further. And I don't know if there's really a way to do that while keeping everything else extending upward. Gosh, these are so interesting. These are such weird puzzles. I really like this game a lot. I think this game is maybe my, well, I was going to say, listen, I'm going to say it's my 3rd favorite, but I mean that in a really significant way. Okay, so seeds go to the right is like the absolute most important thing. Then seeds love to extend upward. That's well known about seeds. And then if we do it down, it should wrap around here and then try to go down. But it's going to cause problems because after it starts to go down, it's going to extend rightward. Yeah, we need this not to happen. And we can't do seeds that do not have metal above them, right? We can only specify positive conditions. Also, again, we have this problem. Picking the right starting spot for the seed on this one is going to be really important. So, okay, if we highly prioritize spreading upward and then spreading leftward. The problem is this goes left before this can go up. Yeah, and there's just not really a spot where it makes sense to extend. Okay. Is there a place where we can do... If we make like the highest priority instruction that cells with metal to their right turn into the next highest quality of thing. Will this work to halt the advance? Oops, that's upward. Yes, okay. Alright, so we can work with this. Okay, so we stop that there. And then we want to go like flesh with metal to its right extends downward. And if I do this flesh thing extends rightward as a general instruction. Okay, it does beat the other thing to the punch. So that's great news. And then this comes over here. It tries to it wants to extend left more than it wants to extend down, but we can fix that. Okay, so we've got a pretty functional version of the shape for quite some time here. This thing... All right, we can mix in some other instructions. Like this thing can be doing work. Flesh with metal to its right also wants to extend left, so we get that. And then flesh with metal above it wants to extend downward, and that's going to help to cut off... Yeah, that's going to help to cut off the growth from this thing. Then we're getting pretty close. And we're there with like only half of the puzzle time used up. So how do we make it fill in this shape without breaking everything? We have to be very careful because we can't issue a general flesh extends downward command because this one will extend downward and break everything. At some point, the rest of it has to transform. We can get a lot. We can get the growth into this shape before that happens. That's all good. Then it's like flesh with flesh above it. Extending downward breaks everything. Flesh with flesh to its right, on the other hand. Yeah, that also can't... Damn it. Shit. Flesh with nothing to its left extending downward is going to break, like, here. So how do I give an instruction to this thing, but not to that thing? That, I think, becomes the core of the issue. Because this needs to not do anything anymore. Flesh with metal above it specializes further into the necessary thing. And then first level flesh with the finished pieces above it extends downward. This is going to end up being too slow. Shit. Yeah, because that starts turning stuff too early. So from here, we only have to do 2 merges. And they're expressed very easily, right? It's just like flesh with metal to its left tries to fuse upward, which can only affect one spot meaningfully. And also, yeah, like this is close, but I don't think it's going to work because I think we're spending too many instructions and taking a little bit too much time. That does get us the correct shape. But sadly, we can't just do this because that, yeah, it overgrows things a little bit too quickly. How do I fix that? Flesh with the advanced material above it transforming. This almost works. I was gonna say we can give a couple of more specific instructions, but it doesn't crawl up the way it needs to, and also we run out of time. Yeah, shit. Being able to specify small transformations to be able to give instructions in very particular places is a really important piece of technology. That's like a critically important part of doing some of this weirder stuff. But unfortunately, in this case, I think it's just a little too slow. If I do the general tier 1 flesh becomes red flesh thing, the problem is we get this extension too early. Is there a way to fix that? Is there a way to delay it reaching here so that we can get that last build out? I think the answer is no. Yeah, and right now we're kind of reliant on this tile not being the red meat because we need this to happen. So, if only we could put a transformation capacitor into this puzzle somehow. Alright, I think the problem is that we can't start this far up. Gosh, these puzzles are so interesting. Let me drop out of this one. We're just gonna keep looking at new stuff here. Okay, this is interesting. So what you have here is every horizontal line that can work in the puzzle, working in the puzzle, except for this one. Which is curious. Right, so we can get a lot of the pieces of this right, except this. The thing is, down and up are already higher priorities than right. But maybe they shouldn't be, actually. No, sorry, yeah, yeah, we definitely need right to be a lower priority than down and up. Otherwise, the extension from the leftmost line doesn't work. But we can solve this problem at the transformation stage, because this could absolutely be a die-off, right? The problem is, how do we specify that these cells are turning to bone without turning the cells around this thing to bone? Perhaps we insert a seed with seed to its right. Yeah, it goes into flesh mode. And then as a lower priority than that, well, no, because seed with metal above it is going to read like long before. Well, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, because these are extending, and then they're, by the time they have a chance to read this, they're already reading that they have a cell to their right and turning into flesh. Okay, so if we do it on the other side as well. Okay. Then we can do a seed with bone above it, simply dies. And at this level of bone, the bone can extend downward. Okay. You can also do seed with metal to its right. Transforms into flesh. And now we can issue very specific orders, like flesh with metal to its left or right wants to fuse down. But I think we're probably going to run into the same problem here where, like, in my brain, this makes a lot of sense as a way to, like, makes a lot of sense as a way to organize this idea. But then we have to turn all this stuff into the higher level flesh, and I think our system is going to break. We also want to fuse upward. And then as, like, the thing of final resort. Okay, actually that totally works. My concern was that we would have it start transforming too early and break some of the instructions, but no, here it's totally functional. So then if we, as a final instruction, okay. Why does that? Oh, because it takes a second for the die-off to occur. All right. Well, bone with bone above it fuses into this thing. And then bone with this kind of bone below it advances into this kind of thing. And then we just have to include a general idea that this kind of bone loves to... Oh, this bone will not fuse. Okay. This kind of bone wants to fuse, and we just move that instruction back here. Oh, no! This thing doesn't turn until after the last cycle. Uh-oh. Shit. Well, hold on. So we need this to take a second. We need to have a moment where it doesn't transform, because it has to extrude the other bit of bone. But then we need it to solidify into the new kind of bone after it has done that. Right? Bone with any kind of bone below it. Yeah. So this thing is no longer receiving the instruction. We're turning the bone at the bottom into vertebrae and the bone at the top into vertebrae. A vertebra, I guess. It's not plural. I'm looking at this and wondering if there's a way that we can cut an instruction. Because here we actually have a whole cycle that's just like where nothing happens at the end of the puzzle. And if we could just find a way to fit in and maybe merge two of these instructions into one somehow, then we could totally make this work. This is like really frustratingly close. Yeah, we need the fuse. Unfortunately, looking at this, I'm definitely having a hard time seeing where we would combine statements, because we cannot Is there a way to like combine these two statements? We can't just say generally the meat wants to fuse downward, because obviously then we get fusion across this area. But is there a more clever way to specify targeting here? Because these two steps are causing this and this to create connections. Is there something else that is true about those that is not true about anything else? Is there a way I could reprioritize some of these instructions such that we could take out the whole die-off idea? What if we could just make it so this thing didn't extend to the right? So instead of cell die-off, what we do is cell with metal to its left transforms into flesh. Cell with metal to its left transforms into flesh. And we make that like an extremely high priority instruction. Yes, that never does that overgrow. Okay. So now that we have this happening, we need this thing to become, so we remove this. I'm not actually condensing anything though here, I don't think. Like we're removing instructions, we're preventing the cell die-off from happening, but I think we end up having to issue the same number of total instructions. Well, the thing is, okay, so if we can do seed with bone above it, specialized to bone. Bone likes to merge down. And these, it can be just like a generally higher instruction, then I think we can... I think we can just make bone want to upgrade? Yeah. We don't have to specify this one at a time this way, because this piece of bone can merge into the vertebra even after the vertebra's already formed and then become vertebra itself. Y'all, these are tricky. Gross. I don't really know another way to put this. This is gross. So this is like full expansion and all the... Yeah. How do we make these two become eyes while nothing else becomes eye? The idea is... I have no idea. Let's look at like a couple more. Oh, this is interesting. So... it doesn't feel like I want to start here. It feels like I want to be building out in both directions at the same time, right? So up is more important. Up is most important. This is going to break, though. It's going to break right here. Yeah. I mean, if we did have this thing start here, how much time are we going to spend? Well, honestly, we're not really even going to be able to wrap it around. Because the moment I hit, cell wants to expand to the right, we're going to get all this pollution over here. So maybe what we want to do is start it... We do, in fact, want to do it from one end of the formation. We can't use the metal to specify the left move because we do have to execute a left move up here as well. Okay. My initial inclination was this top corner. Maybe this is the right way to go. So if we expand... My biggest concern here, obviously, is that if I have an order out for expand left and an order out for expand down, the seed that drops down here is going to push out to there pretty quickly. Now we could use a die-off to fix that. Any cell that has metal below it just dies off. And then we can, in order to actually let this extend, we can do an upgrade to flesh and then have the flesh extend downward. Yeah, let's say like the highest priority for us is any cell that has metal below it dies off. Okay. Then cell divides downward. Cell divides left. So it's going to keep making and then destroying that thing. Oh, actually, left has to come first. Otherwise, we're not even going to make it all the way to the corner here. But yeah, then this is a problem too. And we don't have, like... I need this wraparound to occur. It does feel like maybe we are going to have to start this from one of the ends. I'm really worried about running out of time, though, if we do that. The problem is that most sensible ways of constructing this shape rely on parts of the shape already being in place to prevent the rest of the shape that we're building from like bending itself into the space that a different branch is supposed to be in. Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one too. Let's have a look. We'll have looks here at a couple more. This one feels familiar. Is this substantially similar to one we did before, maybe? I think I'm not actually going to try to solve anymore right now, right on camera. What I'm going to do is show them all to you. Maybe talk a little bit about what my thoughts are on them, and then I'll solve a few off camera and come back and let you know if that did the work, if that unlocked the last memo. It's possible that it won't. Try not to get my hopes up too much. But this is one of those things where it's like, do you see a vase, or do you see two old women facing each other and screaming forever in eternal agony and pleasure? Ooh. This one's cool. Huh. How do you do that? Yeah, these are pretty neat. There's a bunch of pretty neat ones here. This okay, so it's got this like Z-shaped merge, which I could definitely see being a challenge. Here, which we're just creating another jaw. There are a lot of these puzzles that are basically just make me a jaw. I have something that needs to be chewed on. And in this one, we're making a hand with a perfectly normal number of fingers. That's just what hands look like. All right. I'm going to pick some of these. I'm going to work through them. I'm going to see if that unlocks the last log entry. And I'll see you in a second here for the wrap-up. We could do actual episodes through to the solutions for these, but I do kind of want to just get a bow on this thing. So yeah, listen, I'll see y'all in a second. Okay, well, here's a surprise. It is the next day from when I recorded that last footage. I just opened the game back up to get back to work on that hidden path, and the thing just fired up. Handymate pulled up the last note. So I guess it happens on, it's triggered on launch after you've done, I don't know. Anyway, well, 30 years in the computer biz, and that's it, really. History as I experienced it. I know you love the pixel art and the retro aesthetics, and don't get me wrong, I love that stuff too. But I don't want to get too wrapped up in all this nostalgia. There's a fine line between appreciating where we came from and getting stuck in a past that doesn't exist anymore. At my age, it's easier than ever to get lost like that, so it's been on my mind. Anyway, I'm rambling. I hope these memories were fun to experience, and I hope you'll carry them with you too into the future. It is really interesting to view this, like, this whole thing, right? Like, as much as there is a character in this story who is Zach, the barkeep is obviously also Zach, right? Writing from a certain point of view. And it is really interesting to think about getting to create this sort of like a little bit of a retrospective of your own career in this way. Not that these games are like necessarily representative of, Space Chem and whatever, but getting to tell like a little human story about your little human story, and then getting to tell people, but listen, I liked it too, but don't let it consume you. Like, this is cool. This whole thing is cool. I am super bummed out that there's not going to be any more Zachtronics games, except for that Solitaire collection, which I think comes out tomorrow or today or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll tack on an episode of me playing all the different Solitaires here. Probably not. Anyway, I think that's it. I think we've basically seen all of the thing in Last Call BBS. I found this kind of moving, to be perfectly honest with you, and just incredibly cool. I hope that you all did too. And you know what's going to happen now, of course. You know that we're going to go out with just like a little bit more Dungeons and Diagrams. Just like a tiny bit more. Because I can never stop. It's incredible. Look at this. These shadow caverns, look how cool these skeletons are. We got a treasure room over here, and we know that it's like, let's see. So there is enough room for it to be in this row. Here's the thing. If it's not in this row, then at least these two would have to be walls. Yeah, the treasure room is in this row, because otherwise we're going to have a really hard time putting down all the walls while still maintaining the relative lack of access to these skeletons, right? So unfortunately, I don't think we can take a guess here. There's only one of these that's open. It can't be this one, because like this is problematic, right? These would be blocked off, or we would end up with a 2x2 or something. So we know that's a wall. We're going to do like 2 of these, maybe 3 of these. And then I'll let it go. I swear. I just really like Dungeons and Diagrams. Okay, I guess we know that. That's helpful. Sort of, a little bit. So in this row, this is probably the wall, but it totally could be here, and then we have a path up and a path up. No, because only one of these is open. So these have to unite. Yeah. So this must be the wall and this must be open. These 2 squares have to unite and then go up here as a single unit. So the opening in the treasure room is in the top part. And in fact, since we know exactly 2 of these are walls, that accounts for all of the walls there, which means we know this. That being the case, We actually have all of the walls for here as well. We almost have enough walls to fill in the column next to it. I guess if this column only has one wall left, it kind of has to be here, right? Because obviously that's not acceptable. So that gives us some stuff to work with. Yeah. Okay. If there's only going to be one gap here, it now has to be adjacent to the skeleton to avoid causing a weird dead end problem. That gives us those. This has to be open. So this has to be open to, again, avoid weird dead end problems. And there we go. Puzzles. Puzzles. Who doesn't love doing puzzles? I'll tell you what. I wish there was a way for there to be more 20th century food court. I would pay money for a whole game that was just more 20th century food court stuff. Hey, this one starts nice and easy. And that actually gives us a lot of information about this treasure room. So one of these two is a wall, the other one is open. Two of these, okay, interesting. I guess, hold on, because of this column, we know a bunch of other things. Okay. So this is here, closing off the treasure room like that, and then it must extend down and through here. Yes, I do know that. Okay, seems pretty straightforward. Some of these are, unfortunately, really easy because, you know, they're just like, it's basically all of the possible outcomes for puzzles, all of the legally generatable puzzles. So there's one more wall in this row somewhere. It's certainly not here. So that's going to have to be a wall as well, which means these are walls, and here's your treasure room. And there's the exit from the treasure room. This has to be the open one left on this row. That column going dark is like actually extremely good news for us. It's just like a huge amount of information. Okay, kind of tearing through these. It turns out video games are very easy, and I'm the greatest that there has ever been at puzzles, just kind of in a general sense. So that's going to have to be a wall as well. So yeah, open, open. This is that treasure room. Okay, we'll go to 120 explored. Let's roll for one that looks kind of interesting. This one looks like it could be a bit of a challenge. The top area is going to be kind of tricky to map out, probably. So, what do we know? There's only one open tile in this row, and because of that, it's going to have to be adjacent to one of the enemies, right? I think we can say this for certain. Now, obviously, this can't be open either, because then the path would have to go like that in order to make it out into the rest of the dungeon. And that puts two open spaces next to this enemy, so that's not doable. There's only one wall in this column, which is like, it's kind of interesting, I guess. It would be very easy for it to be here. If it's not here, then it's like this is the hallway that runs out of the treasure room. the wall could be almost anywhere from there. I guess it can't be here. Yeah, under no circumstances can this wall be here, because then you're creating this situation coming out of the treasure room. Or no, wait, that one's fine. Sorry, it's here. This can't be the wall, because creating this situation coming out of the treasure room is extremely problematic. All right, so we know this one must be open. Aside from that, I don't feel like, yeah, I don't think we can really say anything else. Okay, most of this is open, just not one of them. So, as we've deduced about the corner stuff multiple times before, this one can't be a wall, this one can't be a wall, if there is indeed only one wall left. Because otherwise we're creating a either a dead end or a 2x2 in the corner. This one can't be a wall, because if it was, then this would have to be open, and then, you know, obviously that creates a dead end that is fully disconnected from the rest of the puzzle. It can't be here, because if it was here, then we have this same problem where we'd have to, like, this has to be open, and then we have to walk around the thing in a not very useful way to get the path out into the rest of the hall. So that's not the wall. We've actually managed to narrow it down quite a lot. Okay, we can do something similar up here. It's a little trickier, though. I mean, the 3 blocks in the 5 wide space, they have to be contiguous, right? Yeah, I think so. There's no way for something like this to work. You're always going to create a gap of a size that is going to break the rules. So, if they're all contiguous, then necessarily they contain this tile. All of the groups of 3 contiguous tiles in those 5. And then, like, we know it can't be these 3. And if it can't be these 3, then this one can't be a wall. And if that's the case, that draws in a bunch of stuff here. And then that means this must be open, so all of that is wall. Okay. You are a wall tile, for sure. Actually, all of these are. We're going to need the actual column information to know which one of these 2 is the block. There's only one more block in this row, but we can't really make anything out of that yet. Oh, I guess we have this now. Okay, so only one of these 3 tiles is open. It's definitely not this one. That gives us all of this. It gives us all of this. And I do believe that's basically the puzzle from there. Okay, 120 dungeons and diagrams explored. And with that little celebration, I think that's it. I think we are done here. That has been Last Call BBS. I have had a great time with it. I hope you all have had a great time with it. I hope I encourage some of you to buy it and to try to food court yourself out. I really enjoyed that one. Probably price of admission alone on that. So when you come back next time tomorrow, I don't know if we have room for new stuff on the channel. This is a wrap up. We're probably continuing some of the series we're already doing, but those series are fun too. I hope that you're checking those out and enjoying them. And we'll see you then.